And you can just hang in there.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to start the video again. I hope it gets started. Do you guys have any indication that the video is running?
It's recording.
Yes.
It's recording now. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
All right.
Your video's not on, though.
Excuse me, what?
Your video isn't on. Are you keeping it
My
off?
video. All right, I'll turn my video off and then back on again. How does that work?
No, I don't see you. I might have to get out and come back in.
All right. Let me turn the video off again. And then back on again.
Yeah, no, it's my screen. It's my screen. So I'll hang up and I'll get back on, and hopefully everyone will see everybody.
All right.
All right.
There, now you're on, Eric. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Because today we have a really honored guest, Ajahn Prateep from Chicago. I'll let him give you the name of the what. And from what I understand, he met Keyshawn. And I knew that I wanted to get our guys interested in going to the watch, but I had no idea that we might, in fact, entice some of the senior monks to come and talk to us. And so we're really honored. And that one of the things that happened with me that gave me, this is possibly one of the most important lessons that I ever learned. And it happened after I was at Wat Suan Mok a few months, but hadn't ordained yet. And Ajahn Buddhadasa and Ajahn Po actually had a large gathering of people there that was a mixture of Westerners, Thai lay people, and monks. And Bhikkhu Buddhadasa wanted it to be what he was saying in Thai English mixture, for me to then interpret what he was saying. And he started talking about the Four Noble Truths, I remember specifically. And after I translated that much and looked back at him for the next thing, he says, "You take it from here and give this lecture." He literally put me on the spot to find out that I did have that much detailed knowledge to give a talk on the Four Noble Truths. And it really did actually kind of cement my knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, that I knew it better than I thought I knew it, because I had to put it out in front of my teachers, my friends, everybody. And so that was one of the things that I also recognized that Ajahn Prateep had mentioned when he was saying that it was like his teacher threw him on the other side of the river, and that he had to figure out how to get back across without giving him good instructions. And so this is part of the way that the teaching is done. Now, there's kind of a line to be drawn in there someplace, and that line would be, in fact, in the Padimokkha, there is a mention that monks cannot hide robes or bowls from one another. You don't go messing with the guy's equipment, because monks get really in the habit of being mindful about where they put things. And so that kind of trick playing is not done. But the kind of trick playing that monks do, the senior monks do to the junior monks, is to wake them up. And that story about um, the Four Noble Truths with Ajahn Po and Bhikkhu Buddhadasa having put me on the spot that way. It didn't happen just one time. That it happened over and over again. That I remember that at the retreat center, Ajahn Po says, I want you to talk about the 7 factors of enlightenment, the Sambhojana. But at least he gave me an evening's notice so that at 7:30 the next morning I was able to teach it. But I taught it right out of the Anapanasati Sutta. So I had my book. In fact, here it is. And so I was able to loan up on it that time. But this is the kind of thing that happens is that monks are called on to give a talk, sometimes on a specific question. And that it's a good idea to already know what we're talking about here, to go ahead and get the Dhamma understood, to get it down. That's one of the qualities of teaching that's very profound, in fact. In the Anguttara Nikaya, there is a passage, or actually it's a whole
Rocky,
talk.
no.
Pardon?
Oh, apologies. I was talking to the dog there for a second.
Okay, sorry. All right, so it's in the Anguttara Nikaya, a sutta about 5 ways to learn the Dhamma. And the first one is naturally to listen to it being taught. Another one is to discuss it with your friends. Another one is to mull it over in your mind to make sure that you understand it. And the fourth one then has to do with the chanting, of understanding that the chants that we do, what the Pali actually means. That in fact, that was the way that the monks learned it in the very early days, is they learned the chants first, even though they were in the native language, and then they learned the explanation to the chant, because it's kind of confusing. And so you have to have detailed understanding, like in the Anapanasati Sutta, it looks like that they just rip right through it, and then they rip right through it again, and leave out all the little details that are, popped all over the other sutras. And so then the fifth way to learn is by actually teaching. And surprisingly enough, that's the way that it's done. Like an example would that be in graduate school, the graduate students normally teach the undergraduate students. Because that's how you learn to teach, is by teaching. But you have to really know your topic also. And so this is part of the reason why we want to talk about it over and over again, to repeat it, to do it look at it this way, look at it that way, come to it this way. All of a sudden, the teacher kicks you in the pants that way. And then you begin to understand what the teachings are all about. So I would like to give each one of you an opportunity to introduce yourselves to Ajahn Prateep. And if you want to, you can ask him any questions and see what kind of surprises he comes up with. Not to put you on the spot, Ajahn, but we've just been talking about that's part of what we do here, is put each other on the spot.
Yeah.
Eric, do you have any questions? You've got a real Thai Ajahn here. Anything to ask him?
You're putting me on the spot too.
Yes.
First, I would like to ask, how are you?
A little bit cold. It start to be cold today.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago's really cold.
Yeah.
And for how long have you been ordained?
20 year. It will be 20 this year.
20 years of ordination.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm almost 43. I'm almost 43 right now.
Wow, you look much younger.
Yes, he does.
Because of
That's
maybe because of
half Thai and
meditation.
half Bhikkhu.
Yeah, I wouldn't really know what to ask except of what we talk about weekly. So
Yes, do, please.
um, these days, after our last call, I had been talking about how your personality or your way of being socially or in private too changes by practicing the Dhamma. And sometimes it's part fear or part doubt. Maybe it's got some hindrances within it, but I find myself changing too quickly and losing my sense of self. Not sense of self, but like one hindering thought is that I wouldn't know how to be if I change too quickly by practicing the Dhamma. Maybe it's something that doesn't happen if you're in a context of a Buddhist community, but I don't know if you've had similar thoughts.
I would like you to repeat again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's
yeah.
say,
Make it short. He's
or
talking about that as he begins to change, he begins to lose his identity, and he doesn't quite know who he is anymore. And then the last part of the question was, does Sangha have anything to do with that? Which certainly it does. Once you lose your identity, if you're associating with monks, then that becomes your new identity. But if you're out in the world of lame people, then you may not have an identity. That's the direction of the question.
Identity.
Self, Atta.
Atta. Oh, okay.
Or he's asking that inappropriate question of who am I?
Okay.
or also,
I may have a way to explain in my way.
yeah.
Maybe I can explain you through the example. First, for example, I'm angry someone so much, so I already have atta, it's I hate him. But after I put a lot of effort in the meditation, try to use my mindfulness, long time, and one moment later, a moment, maybe long time is mean for me, for my experience, it's been 2 years of meditation, and one day I start to get to know, this word I already learned from the book that it's not who, it's not him, it's not anything, why you have to angry with him. Yeah, but I keep repeating this to myself. But a part of my mind still know that I still angry, but a moment during the meditation, it gives me just like this information attached to my mind that, hey, it's no us, no him, and no me. It's just mind doing its activities. I felt that even him, he didn't want to do something bad to me, but he cannot control his mind. But his mind is just automatically to think. Or for example, when you have your taste, you also like to this taste. Or you have your, just mean your taste, your anything that once you see it, you will like it. And our mind just act by itself. And so no intention, I felt that day, the some kind of the knowledge that I read from the book or the master taught me, it's just my mind start to know, not me, For me, I understand for a long time. I know what he's saying, that you will have to practice until you feel that no, it's not we, it's not us, it's not him. It's not Atta. Yeah. And then the anger just lift up and I don't angry anymore. For me, just like, and it will appear to, it's just like your mind got a new information and it's become your basic knowledge inside that. It will appear for us when we think, how we think, how we decide. It will based on this information, it's just come from inside, and it's felt better because I didn't have to manipulate myself. That hey, it's just okay, and 4 elements. Why I have to angry him? But this time just a few nature. Is it right to the question?
Well, I'm having some language barrier problems because it seems that I'm not that used to hearing the Asian accent in English. I'm from a Latin American country, so I just got
Sorry.
the rough idea of what you were saying about how the practice helps us drop personality view, like in general, and that generality helps in the specifics of every situation. Is that right? Or did I?
Yeah, it's help us to see things as is truly are. Yeah, that is no us, no him, no he, no who, just like that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. In
Is
fact,
it the
go ahead.
is it I answer you to the direct question? I don't know that. Maybe I
Yeah.
also have the okay.
I mean, that opens further questions, but I don't know if anyone
Okay.
else is going to ask something else. Do I ask further questions or not?
Yeah.
First off, I'd like to say welcome, Robert. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad to see you back.
Is it Robert in United
Yeah,
Kingdom?
the other Robert, not Robert
Oh.
Cohen, but I'm glad to
Which,
see both
Okay.
of you. We got two Roberts.
yeah, we got both Roberts. I was wondering which one. Cool. Howdy, guys.
Hi.
So, to finish off a little bit about that anatta, is that it's always a duality, that we can actually best understand it in the sense of selfishness. That's a good English language word to use because the word self has many, many different uses, but selfishness generally is fairly well understood. And when we are selfish, that means that we withdraw or separate ourselves from others. Like, you cannot get angry unless you're selfish. And you're selfish because you're trying to protect yourself. That's the fear. And we use anger to protect our fear, right? And so
Yeah.
that selfishness is created at the time when the feelings are created or about the same time. And so we also, when we create the self, we create the other. And this is the duality. And Ajahn is mentioning that when we can see that other guy is just like me, that we're all in this anger thing together, then we don't have to be angry at each other. That even the anger can become kind of unified. We're all in this together, and that kind of breaks out into compassion. That why should I be angry to this poor guy just because he's angry at me? Because there's really not much to me anymore. And I can see more we than me. But if all I see is me, then all I see is him too. And so if we think of it as we rather than me, now we're back into a cooperative moment, even if that cooperation is within anger. At least then it has a chance of melting into friendship rather than exploding into more selfishness.
And my point is, we all learn those those terms, selfishness, atta, or anything. But how can we transfer this knowledge to our mind? This is what I'm trying to say. Do we know how to transfer this knowledge? Because if your mind can accept all this truth, so you won't be angry anymore, right? But if you're still angry, it means that there must be something. So that this knowledge, why your mind cannot accept it, and why you're still angry. You understand what I say?
Yeah,
Well,
lack of practice.
is we still want something.
Yeah.
Still, and one of the things that we want is revenge.
You know, it's happened all that. You will know how to revenge. It will happen over and over, but you still have to be patient and try to stay with those feelings, and you will see the nature of anger, that it will disappear by itself. It's come and gone until it's never come again. And those issues will be, you will overcome that problem, and you won't angry at them anymore. But the new issue, you're still angry, but you can handle it faster. This is from my experience. But the first issue for me is the most difficult.
Regarding that issue, I've noticed that something that hinders me is that I feel a pressure from the people that know me, or from what I imagine what they expect from me. Like, once you have a personality, people expect you to be the same or to maintain that personality. So if you change like at a rapid pace, it feels weird, like somehow inappropriate. And I know that the general answer is to keep practicing, get into isolation. But I was wondering if you've experienced that in your process, and how to, let's say, what can you say to yourself internally, wholesomely, a wholesome thought regarding not caring or not placing any importance into what people expect your personality to be like.
Okay, this problem may come from your mind thinking about someone else's thought, right? Right? Your mind caring about someone else's thought.
My mind is
Am I right?
caring.
Yeah, you care about someone else thinking,
Yeah.
right? Their expectation, their thought about you, and you feel pressure.
Yeah.
So um, that's the way I practice. I practice the mindfulness meditation. So you to don't need to rush the result, but you just only look to your mind, that your mind just thinking, your mind just caring, and then you will see the nature. Uh, you will see the nature of your mind, the nature of that feeling. That even that feeling it just occur for a while, and it cannot last long. A moment later, you think about something else, it's gone, and you keep your mind repeating that. For me, in Buddhism, you may heard how to gain the wisdom. You can have the wisdom by Sutta Maya Panya. Have you ever heard Sutta Maya Panya? To listen. Cinta Maya Panya is just like to think rational. And the third, Bhavana Maya Panya, is some kind of meditation. This way, the meditation for us, we try not to think, or we don't hold any thought to anything, but we just use our mindfulness.
Another way of saying it is look at what's happening, look at what's going on with your body, with the air around you, etc., like that, rather than talking to yourself about it. Use your mind moments for investigation, actual investigation. Imagine like that you're a professor sitting in front of a microscope, and that you're peering into the microscope and finding this, and then you write it down. And then you find this other thing, and you write that down, okay? And while you're seeing this and writing it down, when you're writing it down, you miss something. It's better to stop writing things down or talking to ourselves or giving ourselves a running dialogue and just look at what's going on. And this is the training, the bhavana, the word that he was mentioning, is bhavana, the training. Training and looking at what's going on, look at what you're doing. And sometimes when you look at it, you see that selfishness directly.
Okay. Diaper changed.
Mm-hmm. So, Robert Cohen, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments, anything to say?
None right now at the moment, but I'm really enjoying this.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. I don't know what happened to Miguel. I think he dropped his phone. Yeah, I must have.
Miguel, are you there?
No, he's not there. Okay. So, Eric, this is a very interesting topic that you bring up, and that many people will actually say that Anatta is the major teaching of the Buddha. And we see that a lot. In the Trilokana, you have the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta. And the anatta is there as third. But a lot of people don't understand that the selfishness and the dukkha are interrelated. That anicca means that everything is changing. And if you don't like it, if there's self there, then there is dukkha. But if you take the route to change that into anatta, then the anatta is not dukkha. The reality is that the Buddha doesn't teach anything about anatta much, other than how it fits in the creation of dukkha. But that's the real point. Dukkha, dukkha nirodha. Come out of dukkha is all what it's all about. And the way that we do that, basically, is by dropping selfishness. Become friends. That in fact the issue is kind of funny is that not only is the selfishness there among others, with others, but we have individual selfishnesses inside. We have a crowd inside. There's various selfishnesses. One is the selfish rules. The other one is the selfish little kid who doesn't want to follow the rules. And then there's something else that doesn't want to play that game between the parent and the child. All right, and so we wind up being a crowd inside because of individual kind of selfishnesses. And when we can drop those selfishnesses and see that there's a we inside instead of this me and that me. Oh, it says you cannot join. See if that. Oh, okay. So there's something wrong with this system right now. Back to the whole point about the multiple me's inside, that if we can learn to unify them, and the way that we can do that is by stop giving ourselves critical and wholesome thoughts, which is one of those selfishnesses. Okay, that we literally talk ourselves into feeling bad. So the one who is talking us into feeling bad is the one who we need to work on first to get him to change his mind, change his attitude. And it's also wrapped up with a lot of rules. In the teachings of the Buddha, it's Sila Bhatta Paramasa. Attachments to rites, rules, rituals, attached to the way things are supposed to be. But that's who I am. I'm the ritual part of the mind.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to do it the way that it's done.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
we
what I'm
learn
dealing
that.
with.
And we can come out of the ritual part of the way things are supposed to be done, because we can now begin to see that that's unwholesome, because the other part of the mind is going to be selfish also and rebel against that. So here we are as a parent giving orders, and as a child doesn't like it. So the child has several options. One is to do what he's told to do, get along, go along to get along, and resent it. He could, in fact, choose to go along to get along happily, but we don't get that lesson from our parents. They go along, get along, and resent it. So we're supposed to go along and get along and resent it. Or we, in our resentment, can begin to rebel from it. And we half go along, and that's what's called passive aggressive. It's because we half go along and then we rebel. Or we half go along and then, instead of rebelling, we feel guilty for only half doing it. And so those are the choices that we wind up with: going along and getting along and hating it, rebellion and hating it, or feeling guilty and hating it. And it would be better if the dialogue between the parent and the child was nurturing. Therefore, the child feels good inside, and the parent feels good also. This is how we begin to stop the selfishness inside of our own minds. Because when you break your own rules, there's a little bit of fear in there, because you might have to punish yourself for it. And so now we've got an executioner coming in there. Okay. That in fact is kind of interesting that this parent, we use it in the sense of protection, permission, and potency. In the sense that if you do something without permission, now the parent is going to be the executioner. And so we wind up with all of these various ways of being selfish on the inside, turning it against other selfishnesses on the inside. And we can see that stuff if we look. And when we see it, it's a good idea to put it down, to change. That's what Bhikkhu Buddhadasa is really all about, is let's make a change here. that see all of these rules and the rebellions and whatnots and the punishments, the bad feelings and all of that, and start to nurture your mind. You're okay. You're okay. Everything is all right. You don't have any work to do. In fact, getting put on the spot, there's nothing to it. But you have to get put on the spot a lot until you recognize that there's nothing to it. Oh, Ajahn, thank you for coming back.
Hello.
Hello.
So we were expanding while you were gone. We were expanding on that issue of selfishness, that there winds up being the mind broken up into various pieces. Each one of them is selfish. Like, for instance, all of the rules. We want to selfishly obey the rules. And then there's another part of the mind that wants to selfishly disobey the rules and not do it, not do what we're told to do. And so the way of dealing with selfishness is recognizing that it pops up in the mind in various forms. And one selfishness is the result of another selfishness. And so let's begin to see this stuff. And that every time that we can see the selfishness, we can make a change. Take the right effort, the right noble effort to make a change. What did we change it to? To nurturing. Everything's okay. In Anapanasati Sutta, they talk about gladdening the mind. Well, I don't have to give that rule to myself only to break it. You got to write that email. I don't want to write that email. You got to write that email. I don't want to write that email. Okay, these are two different kinds of selfishnesses. You write the email as one selfishness, and I don't want to write the email is another selfishness. And we can say, aha, I see all of that selfishness, and that's a gladdening thought. Aha, I see you, Mara. And once we can take that and gladden the mind a bit, we've just already come out of the selfishness. The job that needed to be done has just been done. You just came out of dukkha into Dhammarato.
But it's
And
like
so in that regard, there is no real you self, because you're always been a crowd of this kind of self and that kind of self and this up and this down and back and forth. And then we go around asking questions like, who am I? And we come up with confused answers because we never really did take a look to find out what was in there anyway. And so it's much better then, according to the Sutta number 2, the Sabhasava Sutta, is our wise attention, our wise reflection, our wise inspection should be geared toward, is this wholesome or not? Is this dukkha or not? Rather than who am I? Because if you're asking the question, who am I, that's in dukkha already. And if you can see that dukkha, you can say, hi, hot dog, now I can see what's going on. So this is what the Buddha recommends, is don't pay attention to who I am and don't pay attention to the selfishness, but instead pay attention to what is it that causes dukkha in the mind.
you know,
How does wanting things create dissatisfaction?
I just pinpointed my issue with what you were saying right now. Is that, for example, when I hear you talking and I see your whole demeanor, I'm clear of what sukha is. Like, I can feel it within me. And also, if I'm by myself and if I'm in a good mood and I'm practicing correctly, I also can feel sukha, and I also am clear about what it feels like and how to maintain it. But when somebody comes in and I get a bit rattled or shaken, it's like I lose perspective of what the measure or of sukha is. I lose my reference point, and I try to find
Okay.
it, but I
You
cannot find it in that moment.
all right, you use the word when they come in, you get rattled,
Yeah,
right? You get all shook up.
yeah,
Whatever mental music they're playing, you start to jigaboo to their beat. You get rattled, get all shook up, right? Okay. Now that you know that, if you are aware and mindful that when someone is coming in, before they open their mouths or do anything, you can say, all right, time to get on guard. Wakey, wakey. Look at what you're doing. Normally, you go into sleep and then get a rattled mind. This time, we're going to stay awake. This time, I can handle it. This time, we can do it. Okay, so you kind of plan in advance, something like dukkha, 5 seconds ahead, dukkha, 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 and you write it and you say, okay, we're ready for this. Incoming is the other word. That's a more modern one from New Warfare, Incoming, duck. But in the Dhamma language, we talk about it in the sense of sati. Wake up, start paying attention, look at what's going on. Dukkha is coming, incoming. Look at what's happening. And you can do that joyfully. You can recognize when they come in, they can't rattle me. I'm not going to get rattled this time. And then you may be able to handle that conversation for 5 minutes before you get rattled. But hey, that's a great improvement, because before you'd get rattled right when they come in. Every time they come in, you'd get rattled. Now you can get your mind together so that when they come in, you can handle it for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Pretty soon you can handle the whole conversation, not ever get rattled. And then you can come away from that conversation. Yeah, I can do that. I can clean out my mind and keep it clean and be in the present moment. I can apply my mind to the wholesome and sustain it there for a while. That's the way that we can think. Yeah, you can handle that conversation. You know now that we're talking about it that you can do this. You can, if you can remember, before the conversation starts. The knock on the door, the footsteps down the hallway, or whatever it is, and wakey, wakey, something's happening, something's coming. Be on alert.
yeah.
Then
I'm
when they're opening
sorry.
the door, you take that deep breath and I'm ready for anything. I can handle anything. I can do that.
For my suggestion, uh, um, for my suggestion, if you want to practice meditation, I've been there before that someone walks into
Ajahn,
the
you're
room, and
breaking up. I
for me,
cannot
I
hear
get
you.
nervous. I don't want them to see. I start thinking. So to be really,
Sorry.
you
Can anybody hear him? Eric, can you hear him?
hear me?
No, it's all broken up.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
If
You
you
hear
talk
me right
louder,
now?
it might be helpful, because as I think that your microphone setting in Skype is such that it catches it and then it suppresses and catches it like this.
Yeah, someone just called me and my phone just. I don't know
Oh,
what
okay.
happened.
That's all right. All right. Now we can hear you better.
You hear me? Okay, you
Yes.
hear me already?
Yes.
Okay. To be um let's say from the Buddha the definition of sati means to realize things quickly, right? So when you practice meditation, before you reach to sukha, you need to train your basic ability of your mind. You know, you might have some kind of qualification to train. First, you have to move in any part of your body, just like to make it controllable. The second is you have to be fast.
What was the
Through the
second one?
mindfulness meditation. And so when that moment happens, the second, to aware in your ears quickly, your eyes, your nose, your tongue, your skin, your body, even your mind. For example, if you sit in the room and you heard something, and then the next moment you think about it, right? If you don't heard it, you don't think. But you heard and you think, and then you realize that someone comes in. And when you think, and it makes you feel. So what if you can handle the first time you hear? That's it. You will cut off the process that will happen after. You got what I mean? Just be mindful when you start hearing, but your mind are faster enough or not. And this is the problem, that our mind is not fast enough. I have example for you. Maybe it's tonight or tomorrow. If you are about to yawning, you know, you yawn, right?
Yawn.
A moment you are going to yawn, you know that, right?
If I'm about to
Before
yawn.
you yawn.
Like this.
Yeah, before you yawn. You will know that, right? Yeah, you will know that feeling. You keep in your mind, repeat the word, about to yawn quickly. And let's see what happens.
You're cutting off
And then
again.
you understand what I mean. The voice, the sound that passed to your ear. Sorry, I heard the sound from anywhere. If you can block sound that might come into yours with your mindfulness, it will cut the process later will be cut off.
Prateep, you're cutting
You
out a
understand?
lot. We can't really hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my phone. I try to.
Robert, what I'm picking up on what he's saying is that we have to train the mind to be fast. That a lot of stuff is happening in the mind that we're not paying attention to. And as we practice anapanasati, as we practice the meditation, the actual point is that we begin to speed up so that what we used to be able to see, now we can see the cause of that. And then as we speed up the mind a little bit more, we can see the cause of even that. That in fact, the speed of the mind is all about understanding paticca samuppada, or in Thai, it's paticca samuppada. And that the point is that we learn it in forward order, in the sense of knowing step by step the sequence of events that causes the results of dukkha. But now we're going to start backing up so that we can see things a little quicker and a little bit earlier. And one of the main resting points is at feelings, because if Bhikkhu Buddhadasa talks about having wisdom at the point of contact so that we then can control the feelings. And so that's one of the places, but we need to be really fast. That happens within like, a
Yeah,
fifth of a second or so. And
yeah,
so
but
we can actually get to the point of recognizing that I see it and I like it.
if you
But the
can be
next step is,
mindful,
do I want it?
sorry,
Can I catch that I like it before it ignorantly goes into wanting? And so that's a very key point, to back up so that we're fast enough so that we can see when I don't like something. That doesn't mean that I have to go and do something about it, that I can merely just not like it. In other words, we take control through wisdom of knowing when we like things and we don't like things, rather than ignorantly having to do something about our likes and our dislikes.
and your mind to be fast enough to block the sound, and then
Yes,
you won't think about it. But if you slow, you will hear it, and then you start thinking, hey, what happened? Who's comes in? And then you start or your emotion, and it might happen. But if you are fast enough, which you can, but you have to learn through the walking and sitting meditation, and then one day you can do it. For example, right now you have to move your mind, go to your feet right now, and then your mind is very fast right now already. But in the concentration mode, you are focusing on something, you are not unaware, and so once you hear it, and then you start thinking and so that's why I asked you to try on yawning. If you catch a moment that you're gonna yawn, you know inside your nose quickly about to yawn quickly, and let's see what happens. And it will block everything. Your yawn will disappear.
actually, there are many, many different thousands of
And this
techniques
is the
and you do.
mindfulness. And then you, sorry, uh, um, yeah, you yawning. You see, it's not like when we talk about it, someone will yawn. But you have to catch, just like you shoot an arrow to that point. And you can. It's not.
Yeah.
This one for me, I think is the easiest one. You see, you see, it disappear. So if what happened if you can block your thought first when you start thinking, and you're not in your mind thinking, you just it will stop, and then you're not starting creating or any emotion that might happen later. But if you are slow and it start to produce emotion to your mind, it may be a tough work for you to deal with it. And yeah, you can make it calm down again by patient and try to be what happened. So when we sit, our sensation is still working. Your body still work, your heart still work, but you need to point your mind specifically, just like you point to your yawning. If you point your mind to other part of your body, the yawn will still appear. It's still yawn. So the point is still important to you. Where it happens is where you have to focus. That's it. But so when you see thing, you focus here. When you hear thing, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, your body, your ichi. You can train with your ichi too. Ichi, 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 and then you will see the ichi until it's gone without scratching. Also the pain. This one will be very important. The most difficult you know, for everyone, even me. But I don't know how long when you practice meditation, and you always walk before you sit or not. Did you walk or just sit?
If I
It's
walk,
just like you do walking meditation.
not that much, but I do it.
You should, you should, because it's just like athletes need to warming up their body before they play sport. Your car need to be warming up with your
Get
car,
the
and
breathing
then
going.
it will be good. And sorry, sorry.
I said, get the warming the body, get the breathing going. The same opportunity with chanting. Chanting before the meditation also gets the body warm. Gets
Yeah, but
breathing.
it's just like you can relax your another part of your body too, and just like make your blood and system flow. Yeah, blood and pressure flow better. It will. And when you sit, your back always straight. It's just like if the string on your bow loosen, you cannot shoot through anything. So the first rule should be your back always straight. But hey, the gravity, your back can be rolling. You just push back to that point. You know that how's your back straight? It's just like you push your back until you cannot, and bending down a little bit, and put down a little bit, and that is the straight point. Always back to that, and then this kind of another power that your mind need to collect. There are 10 kinds of power. The power of discipline, the power of uh, I didn't remember all, but I remember all in Thai. The power of Thana, just like your mind need to practice on giving, just like, and it will expand another ability of your mind.
The power of the training, the power of repeat. Do it over and over and over again.
And
Just
the
one more
power
moment.
of I don't know. It's just like you keep. For example, you want to practice for 15 minutes, and then you have to finish it. You cannot stop before the time's up, and the the commitment we all need. In Thailand, we all have to train, even for lay people. So don't lose promise. If you lose your promise, you will be fail on the meditation, even your business or even your life, just like that. But let's go back to the problem. That is the process of emotion. You say thing, you hear thing, you from your side, you think about it, and the next moment it will mix with your defilement inside from your taste, your style, your greedy, your anger, you and are that
You're cutting off again.
and then it will
Yeah,
get back
your
to
phone
like
your phone is cutting out again.
and that is the problem. But how can we be fast in our it depends on how good you are practicing. Yeah, and this is where what I learned in Thai.
Ajahn, we're having trouble hearing you. It's breaking up
I
a
must
lot
not much
now.
not much the knowledge, but
Yeah, I
your
can't
mind
hear you.
first. You, for example, the student.
You
Are you
can't
here?
hear us either, I think.
Before before we train, before we focusing on training concentration, we should train for the mindfulness first. For example, if you open, who do you want to find first? Student or teacher? Teacher, right? Do you hear me?
No,
Not clearly.
Sorry, do you
it's
do you
very
hear me?
difficult to hear you. No, you're breaking up.
Yeah, we can hear you for like a couple of like 10, 20 seconds, but then it starts to break off.
Maybe it's from my my mobile signal.
But I
Sorry.
did
Yes,
understand what you were saying about the
Okay.
technique of the yawning,
Now,
and I could
okay.
do that right now, and I'm gonna try to apply it in other situations. Thank you.
Yeah. So we will focus on training our mindfulness first, more than focusing on concentration. You know, just like you have to train your teacher before you find students. If you have too much students, but you are not good enough, you cannot handle the emotion during the meditation. So you should try to train speaking and sitting meditation. Like while you sitting, once you hear thing, you have to move your mind to your ears quickly. Hearing, hearing. If you cannot, you have to remind your mind that no, you make mind. You know, it's your mind and your body is not it's not, you know, it's separated, you know. It won't follow you, you know. For example, when you're angry, you hear me? Oh, do you hear me?
no, it's not good.
Do you
In
hear
fact,
me?
he's frozen now.
You hear me again?
Not so much. Very difficult.
Yeah,
I
maybe it's
can hear you
my.
talking. Ajahn, thank you very
Yeah.
much for talking. This has been about the length of our conversations normally every week, a little bit over an hour or so. And I do very much appreciate that you've come on this time. Robert, are you still there? How about Miguel? Are you on? Miguel hasn't
I'm
been
on,
there
yes.
for. Yes, okay, Robert. Uh, let's sign off now. Do you have any final things to say, Robert?
None at all. All's good. Thank you.
Okay. If you don't mind, give me a call later today or tomorrow. All right.
Okay, that would be great. I think tomorrow would be perfect.
All right. We'll do that.
Great.
Eric, thank you very much for your question, and I'm recognizing that you're listening very carefully. I appreciate that.
Thank you for um, spending your times with just one student.
Me too.
And
I
Miguel, I don't know
appreciate.
where you are. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I appreciate the time and the energy you're putting into this, and I hope you can join us in another time. Maybe you can tell us more about your life, your 20 years as a monk. I'm very interested in hearing your experience, what it's been like to live as a monk in the States, and to get to know more about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, and I'm willing to join your conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I have been talking with many students. During the COVID time, I would not talk very much about coming to Thailand. But now that COVID is finished, several of the students want to come to meet the monks here at Wat Soen Mok and at Deepa Bhawan, Dam Kiem, that sort of thing. but I also want to get the students in America to become interested in visiting and staying close to monks that are there in the United States. So thank you so much for coming on, and I very much appreciate you spending time with us. I'm sure that we will find many students who become very deeply interested in the Dhamma and want to have some time with senior monks like yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very
bye-bye,
much.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.